right, I'll tell them all about it.
Yep.
And we used to meet without this, you know. Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
We used to get together and talk, face to face. Okay. Well, thanks for putting up with my
No,
busy schedule.
whatever you had to do.
We
Understand.
we have a lot to do. We're behind somewhat beyond what I want to do anyway. So let me call the meeting to order. Let me take attendance.
We're both here.
Okay. And we're only going to meet in an hour because we have to be out of here because they locked the building up.
And we don't want to be elected overnight.
No, that's not.
Not the idea. That's fine.
And, yeah. I'm glad you're flexible. For Rebecca, she was on an even tighter schedule.
That's fine. You know, as I say to people, fortunately, I am fully retired, so my schedule is my own to make for the most part. As long as my wife says it's okay.
That's right. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:35. And this is a special meeting, so the agenda is set. Can't add to the agenda.
Right.
For the first time on the agenda, I'll record that you're here and I'm here. First item is approval of the meeting minutes, which I think I sent you a copy, just so you can
No.
read it. You didn't?
No, I didn't get those, I'll be honest.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay, because
I wasn't there.
you were there anyway.
Yeah.
So, I guess, I'd like to approve, I move that we approve the meeting minutes. And, may I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, first. Second is me. And are there any additions or corrections? None that I know of, since I wrote them. And, so all those in favor? Aye. And you're abstaining?
Yeah, I should, because I wasn't there, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Makes sense,
I
you
just
know.
gotta, okay. Abstain. Now I can give them to Linda, and she gives them to the town clerk. Thank you very much. The next time on the agenda is, what we're gonna do for printing articles. We're about 2 months behind, not 3, but 2, getting this done. So what I suggest is that we reprint what we sent out in one article a couple of years ago.
Mhm. Makes sense.
Yeah, it reminds people, and this is, I think I sent you this, didn't
Yep.
I? I didn't think that. We can look through it.
Okay. I mean, this is just straightforward data information, that's all.
That's right. That's right. So, I'll forward it on to, I'll let you read first.
Oh, I did, I read it.
I'll forward it on to Valerie so she can submit to East Ave News. And with East Ave News, we've got to be 2 weeks ahead.
Right, no,
So we submit Monday,
the following week.
and the week after the following week. It's got to be, deadline is 5 o'clock on Wednesday, and it won't print until a week from the Thursday after.
Yeah.
So submit Monday, submit it on Wednesday, the 29th, and prints not the following week, which is 6th. It won't print the February 13th.
I wonder if Valerie got it in, you gave it to her Monday, if she got it in before Wednesday, would they be able to squeeze it in for the following week? It's hard, I know, the way they operate.
They'll do it if you pay for it.
Yeah,
And the people that submit paper ads, they get that kind of service.
yeah.
And
Okay, I mean, she gets it in when she gets it in, it gets printed when it gets printed,
that's
what are you
right.
gonna do?
But that's just something that's really timely and important, a meeting time or whatever. But we'll, so February 13th, which is soon enough, it's in the middle of the beginning of the workshops. Okay, so I take care of that one. And we'll submit, approve for submittal by consensus. No need for a vote, I don't think.
No,
Next one is the Citizens Guide, which you probably don't have a copy of, this one from last year. So
I remember it.
I brought it over.
Right, I mean,
I don't have a copy yet. And now, we normally have sent out a Citizens Guide by now to advertise the tri-board meeting.
right,
So we're going to have to play catch up here. And the next article we wanted to submit. So at some point, we're going to have to compose a Citizens Guide, I think, at some point for the referendum itself. That's sometime later.
right. This just needs to have the dates and column, the right column changed and updated
So the thought is
in
that,
this one.
yeah, right.
Like I said, it's just a question of changing the dates
Yeah.
on that. Obviously, the members of the board. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, you know? And, I mean, the budget, that was, here, to the 24-25, how do you set up a budget? Are the numbers, because it says proposed budget change. Those terms be updated to simply say adopted budget.
Good.
You know, if the budget there, the 40,672 is in fact the budget that was approved ultimately, then why not simply say adopted budget? So people know that what they're looking at is what was in place right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me see that for a minute.
Sure.
We send out two Citizens Guides. One explains the process.
Right.
The other is, and that's the first one. The second
Right.
one explains the numbers for the proposed budget.
Right.
And
So we just have to, so that goes out in advance of the town meeting?
yes,
Right, so that's where we would know what those numbers are, the proposed numbers are. Okay, I see what you mean. So we just have to move those columns over and add the new one in. All right,
so
understood.
okay. I think what we want to do, we want as many people as possible to come to this calendar. Which you got.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
And so we want to advertise and explain it. And we don't want to get into numbers yet.
No,
So the numbers are for prior to the referendum, we have solid numbers we have to vote on. So we wrote an article, which I think we put in these set of notes, I can't remember now. This is an article, it's kind of wordy, we can make it a little simpler maybe, but that basically explains, it just focuses on the process. Let's give you the numbers.
Okay.
And what I like to do is get that in the East Adam News for February 13th as well,
Right.
and the sooner the better. I want to make sure it's a good article people read. And if there's some way you can come up and make it simpler and clearer, you should do that.
Well, I mean, I think number one, by the time this gets in, like we have, second line, it starts with the tri-board meeting in January.
You gotta start.
Instead, since this wouldn't get in until after that, it starts with the tri-board meeting, which was held on January 29th.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
At the municipal office complex, and then the rest of it pretty much makes the same.
So I'll take a crack at rewriting it.
I mean, to me, as I went through this whole thing, I mean, the only thing there that I would simply make that one change, putting it in, the tri-board's already been held in January 29th. Kick off the budget probably, and then you've got the workshops, tri-board meeting, meet together to kick off the budget process, with each board presenting their goals for the new fiscal year. I think then the line about all East Haddam residents and taxpayers are invited, you can take that out because it's past tense, to me.
Correct.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think after that, it's pretty much date neutral. This one is, after
right.
that, which is fine. Now, question, is it worth, or are you gonna put that somewhere else?
No, go ahead.
Adding the workshop dates. In other words, for us, now here, because you're putting this out under the Board of Finance.
Correct.
So to me, to say, the Board of Finance will be holding meetings, workshops, that's the term we use, workshops on the budget on the following dates, list of dates and time at the municipal office. We just put it right in an article.
And I would suggest that what you just said should be in the article, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then we should have this, why isn't this calendar on the website?
I don't know. I mean, that to me would also make a lot of sense.
So like to write a sentence in there, refer to the website for the latest dates.
Right.
Any changes in the dates, I should say.
Because for instance, what I don't see on here, and I didn't bring mine with me, is we just review budget submissions. We had, on the other one I got, had the exact dates when we would, Saturdays, Wednesdays, whenever.
Yeah, the second page has that, I believe.
Well, no, it jumps right from February 5th.
Oh, it does.
And then.
It skipped March.
Exactly.
Oh, I must have missed, my
It was on the back page.
I must have missed that. I
There
did.
it is on the other side.
You're absolutely right.
If we just put those, I have one of these at home.
Yeah, okay.
But my point is only, we then list the dates that on the Board of Finance will be holding budget workshops on the following dates, the 18th, just list them all out. I mean, I know the selectmen are there, but our budget workshop, well, we can put the selectmen's in, we should have them all in there.
Everybody.
And then, the line we have in there, urging all citizens to attend,
Yeah.
I mean, basically what's on this back page is put it out there for people. I mean, that way there nobody can complain. Yeah, they can complain, but it's hard. when you're actually telling them
Yes.
what's going on,
Yeah, thank you.
that makes sense,
That makes a lot of sense.
And
I pushed for it last year, the year before, and it didn't happen.
well,
I'm reluctant to do it. I don't know why.
my problem with Todd, you've been in this town longer than me. I've been to enough of these meetings. you can hear crickets for the most part.
That's right.
That people do not turn out. I don't know if the Board of Ed gets many people for their budget workshop, but but if you don't put it out there for folks and encourage them to attend, they don't show up. So you may get some at the public meeting, in which case they're just gonna whine and complain and really never give you anything positive. I've been watching these meetings too long. I watch you guys.
And the thing is, what happens is they schedule a meeting and then they change it.
Yeah.
Without telling anybody.
Right.
So people show up, they get their kids organized, somebody take care of the kids, they leave work early, or they don't do something else, and they come, and there's no meeting.
You know, I gotta
All
tell
you gotta
you.
do is that once.
Right, and then they say, well, I can't trust it. The only thing I can tell you is, I don't know what it means. I mean, I've only been a member of this board for less than what, a little over a month and a half. I'm already getting people who know I'm on the Board of Finance talking to me.
Right.
Talking to me already, and I'm sitting there going, how the hell did you know that? It wasn't in the paper, but they know. So it strikes me that there's gotta be some interest, because, I mean, I actually got one person who wanted to know whether the $13,000 for the cemetery will be restored. That's specific. I'm sitting there having dinner, for God, it's somebody I know, don't get me wrong, but I'm going, please, can I finish my dinner first?
They won't.
No, I mean.
It's on their chest, it's on their minds.
But
And you're a guy they can reach out and touch.
Yeah, they see you right there. I'm sitting there minding my own business.
When I go to get gas, I'll be there, I told my wife, I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Right.
No, 45 minutes
Right, when
later.
people grab me. But it was just funny. I mean, I'm sitting, and again, this is somebody I know and I have known for years. We're not talking just a casual acquaintance. It's somebody I know socially. In the middle of the restaurant. I mean, what?
That's okay. That indicates that we're not doing enough communicating.
Right, well, or that I mean, I'd like to think it also means they feel that we're open.
Oh, that
To
too,
hear it.
obviously.
You know, we're open, we're not hiding anywhere, so, but I think putting those dates out in somewhere in there, you know, in that article that you have here,
Yeah.
you know, where you talk about the tri-board, and then, you know, the Board of Selectmen will be meeting on the budget on the following dates, and the Board of Finance on these dates, and put it right in there.
Yeah.
There it is. I mean, I think what you have in these is fine. And I think the Citizens Guide, these work,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay, I'm gonna take executive action here, and for the article, the terminology, I'm gonna put that in. Normally, we go to the Board of Finance to get their approval.
Right.
This has already been printed twice.
Right.
And if they argue with me and shoot me, okay,
Right.
but I don't think they will.
I think as long as you let them know.
That's right. So, that's right, let them know.
Yeah, I mean, if you just inform them, you know, you don't, remember the article from last year, we're gonna reprint it, update it,
In fact, I'll
and,
send it to them so they know about it
right,
already.
and you already know what it is.
That's right.
That's right.
This one, that's a kind of a benign one too. That should not be a risk.
No, it should not, other than I said, making the tri-board
Yeah,
meeting
we
in
gotta
the
do
past.
that. Yeah, okay, let them know.
And then you do this, Board of Selectmen, Board of, keep off, all these, and then with each board presenting its goals for the fiscal year. And then before you say all these have to attend and listen, ask, put in the dates for this. The Board of Selectmen will be holding budget
Yeah.
workshops on, and you've got the times, the dates, and the Board of Finance will be holding their budget workshops, and then say all these Tatham residents and taxpayers are invited. And I don't think the rest of this down here, strikes me, needs to be changed.
That's right. And as chairman of the Board of Finance,
Right.
I'll make that happen because we want to get that out as soon as
Right,
possible.
yep,
And
absolutely.
so,
And you've got the dates on the back.
yeah. Now, looking red here,
Yeah.
why is that?
I don't know. I mean,
Neither do I.
let's face it. You can't control what Irene and the Board of Selectmen do. You can't control what the Board of Finance does. And if these dates,
Yeah.
I sat down already, and I put on my calendar,
Yeah.
I wrote all of these things in to make sure that, I mean, you've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, we got 6 meetings on here before the public hearing. I got every one of them down to make sure I do not have anything that cross on them. I mean, to me, I'm one of those people. You ask me to do something, you give me meetings, if I know in advance, I mark them down. And that's what I'm gonna follow, for me. You know?
Thank God, Bill, you're a voice of reason.
Well,
I-
you know, the trouble is, I mean, I think this is one difference. As an education, how many meetings I used to do?
Yeah.
You learn the schedule. And I was lucky, because I had my executive assistant, she took care of that for me. But she made sure I had on my desk, like on Monday, if I had meetings that day, what they were, she kept me right, and I learned, it's a habit, you just learn to get to, you know?
That's right. That's right, exactly. So, okay. Talked about that. All right.
To me, that's,
Okay. Thanks a lot, Bill.
okay?
Next item is the draft on the, let me see what is the article? Okay, terminology, okay, gotta get that in. And next is the article on capitalization versus operating expenditures. That's something that Rebecca started before she left,
Okay,
and I think, and it wasn't much, we probably have to start over again. But what is going on there, what we've seen, this is Rebecca and myself, I'm sure the rest of the Board of Finance too, what we've seen in my experience in the Board of Finance, people get really confused between capitalization money and operating expenditures.
yeah.
And so they hear these big numbers, they think, oh my God, that's gonna come out of our taxes. Holy mackerel. And it does, some of it does, but not all in one shot. So we wanted to write an article, not a big, long PhD thesis, but something that people could understand, less than 1 page. Just, we probably do it in pieces too, and whatever makes sense. Explaining what operating expenditures are and what capitalization is. And probably put a little bit in there about bonds and why we
Right.
use bonds to pay for capital expenses.
Yep.
Most people have no idea.
No, I think you're absolutely right now. Transfers to capital reserve, I understand. See, what we don't show on this for expenditures is proposed capital on this sheet.
No, we don't.
There is not a proposed capital budget. So I think, to me, I don't know what Rebecca wrote on that, but, you know, to me, operating budget are your day-to-day expenditures, what you need to run the government day-to-day. And
Yeah.
capital are long-term projects. And that's the differentiation. When we had to do a capital budget, that's how we looked at it. What do you want to do 5 years from now, kind of thing. Like fixing the firehouse is a capital expense. The HVAC system, which you've already approved, is a capital expense. That kind of thing, you know, putting out what they are. Here are some capital, because maybe we'll know by then what the capital projects that are being proposed are.
That's right.
You know, we could actually put down, here are some of the capital projects that are going to be funded primarily through bonds and through you've been putting money aside, correct?
Yes.
In a capital reserve, if you will, are going to be funded through the capital reserve and bonding. And here they are. Put it out like that if you want. I mean, I don't know if you have whatever she wrote around, or you want me to try to put something together. I mean, you know, to me,
You can start.
yeah, I mean, capital projects to me are, you know, we used to have a budget in Clinton. We separated out which is called a CIP, Capital Improvement Plan. And that's how we,
Yeah,
so you could, anything you want, but to me, to say to people, capital projects are large items that are funded through bonding and the capital reserve fund.
that's right.
And they include things such as, people out there are hearing about the firehouse is $14 million. Put it down there. Among the proposals are that we know we need to upgrade, we're gonna be in the process of upgrading the HVAC system. Trying to think of what's the other one? There were three big ones.
Roads.
The road. We all know the roads need work. The only way they can be paid for is through through bonding in a capital project. I mean, yeah, unless you do what Irene said, which is just let the potholes slow everybody down as they hit them.
Well, my car wouldn't like that.
No, neither would mine. But I think if we let me try to do that. I'll try to write something over the next couple of days and get it to
Thank
you.
you, Bill.
Because you can't do all of this stuff.
No,
Crazy.
I can't.
Capital VS operating. And let me see what I can put together, and then you look at it and see what you think.
That's right.
And I think if I use those three examples to people, if I use the example of the roads, if I use because people see that and they know that. I think if I talk about the firehouse, because I think most people realize the problems there, kind of thing. You've already done the HVAC, but I may bring it up, or a state mandate such as improving the HVAC systems at the school, which we and
I've begun to do, but we're not done yet.
no, but we've bonded. My only point is just saying these are these are our, but here's the state telling us, you gotta do this.
Yeah.
So let me do that. Let me work on that. I'll work on that tomorrow because I don't have anything to do tomorrow. No, I'm dead serious. Don't hesitate. When I say that to people, I know I'm being funny, but I'm not. I am fully retired. My time, fundamentally, is mine. I chose to come to the Board of Finance from the Board of Trustees because I want to use my time that way. Were you at the meeting on the Republican Town Committee meeting, the
Yeah.
last one?
Yes.
See, at the end of it, I was talking to Irene about the elections. She said, "Would you like to run for first selectman as a placeholder?" I looked at her. I said, "I'd be 83 when the election was held. Are you crazy? I'm older than Joe Biden, for God's sake." But I laughed at her.
But you're in good shape. You're in much better shape than Joe Biden.
Oh, I am. I know that. But that's my point. I have time to do things, and I don't mind sitting down and doing it. And I'll do it tomorrow. I'll write it up, and I'll shoot it over to you, and you tell me what you think.
And thank you very much, Bill, because we need that.
Yeah, I'll get that done.
Yeah.
And I've told you, you've heard how I'm going to do it, how I'll spell it out. I will actually, as you're doing in here, I'll define what the operating expenses is, day-to-day costs of keeping government going. That the capital budget is long-term project, and I'll give those three examples. But I'll also talk about the fact that we've done open space is a capital expenditure, because these are the big money items.
That's right. Big money and long term.
And it's going to take time to do, and so,
It's a good investment.
And I may also put in there that we are looking at maintaining a sensible level of bonded indebtedness relative to our size of our town and our budget. I'll throw all of that in there. I know the nomenclature.
That's absolutely great. And you have the bond plan that
Yes.
our consultant put
Yes.
together back in July.
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
That'd be a good read too.
Yeah, well, I have. And then I went back and did it again because I'm not as familiar with bonds that way on the macro scale. But that's okay. I'll make it work.
Bonds are very interesting. They're also very complicated. It can be
Yes.
very complicated. And that's why they hire professionals that their career is working with bonds. Because with the amount of money we're dealing with and the time involved, there's a lot of money here.
Yeah.
So if you do it correctly and match yourself to the market and watch the interest rate, you can save a lot of money as a town, and the investor can make a lot of money.
My sense is, and you can tell me whether I'm wrong, that Valerie has a good handle on this stuff. She seems to be very, very astute on this, listening to her. you know? I mean, I could be wrong, but I listened to
No.
her, and it's like, she knows what it's all about. Nothing is confusing her that way.
That's right. I sense the same thing, because I've experienced two previous finance directors, and on bonds,
Right.
they're very weak. They relied on Bill Lindsay all the time,
Yeah.
and never expressed, and never volunteered to explain anything to
Right.
us. But Valerie did it the other night,
Yep.
right? She
No,
volunteered to
so I
explain
will
it.
put this together.
You're absolutely right.
Hopefully by Sunday, I'll shoot something to you, and you can work with it.
Great.
You know, I don't mind doing that at all. I like to be useful.
That'd be very useful.
Yep,
I'd be very happy.
yep,
Because the town needs an article like that, particularly what we're about to do with the bond plan. And then, once the road survey is done, and we actually put together a plan, bond plan, then we have an article on that.
right. And I will mention
So-
that relative to this, we are anticipating a road survey to give us a sense of what we're gonna do. So, you know, i.e., we're not just pulling these numbers out of our hat.
That's
We're
right.
actually using logic behind it. Yeah, so I'll use that too.
That-
Absolutely
That's
will.
exactly right, because people will listen to real numbers, but
Yeah.
if they think the numbers are bullshit, they're not gonna listen to you.
No.
You waste their time and our time. So, well, that's absolutely great.
Okay.
Okay, thanks very much, Bill, I really
Not a problem.
appreciate that. And I'll get this terminology article into the East Hampton News.
Right.
I'll read your markups.
Yeah, they're just changing,
Yeah.
to make it so that, because
I
it's
just-
already done.
I'll go over it again, because I like to make it nice and clear,
Right.
like a newspaper is written,
Right.
so people can
And
read it
and then
quickly.
I didn't put a thing in there just at the end of that, when the meetings by the Board of Selectmen
Yeah.
and the Board
I'll
of
do
Finance
that.
are. Right.
I can
And
do
let
that
them
too.
know, so there they are, black and white.
Well, that's fantastic, Bill.
No, glad to help.
And so I was thinking something else too, but I can't, went out of my head. Oh, blast.
Oh, by the way, since before you do it, the bit about Harvest House, I went back and told them that. You know, how you guys agreed to change it from the 30th to the 23rd. But who had the sheet that you got from them?
Brian Goff had that.
Brian, somebody did, and I said, and by the way, I saw the sheet that they were given to pick dates, and the 30th was open. And they're looking at me, I said, that's right, the sheet you set out, so whatever happened where you double booked it, they were not told that. I wanted them to know that we're being accommodating to them, but that they, just so you know, I hate it when people do that.
I appreciate it. I thought maybe a wedding showed up. They had to do a reception that night.
No, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Usually I guarantee you somebody came in and somebody wasn't looking. And so they said, okay, and I happened to be there that day and they knew I was gonna see you folks, so I brought it up, but I did say to them, I saw the form. 30th was clear. Oh, okay. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But the Harvest House is a good deal, good thing to do.
It is. It is. We had a last meeting, we didn't go last week, 2 weeks ago. We had 20, 25 people there. Big crowd.
Yeah.
I think it was the Sportsman's Club did it. And then they didn't get the memo that it was now at 4 o'clock instead of 5.
Yeah.
So here's Jim and his buddy there. You should have seen them scrambling to get the food cooked because they were cooking it all there, but they did it.
Bill, that same thing happened last year.
Yeah.
So you gotta communicate the time change.
Yes. Well, I think they did, but they didn't. And so last Sunday, for instance, they closed because of the snow. Okay. Now but you see, the people who go know to look at the TV because we have a thing with all these channels on a closing. But it was just funny 2 weeks ago. And I'm laughing because I'm talking to Jim back there and it's like, but you may have told us, but we forgot. So there he is scrambling, but they got it all done. They got it done.
Yeah, that's a real good community activity.
Yep, yeah.
Really good. Okay, let me think for a minute here.
Yep.
Something else. Can't remember. Let me put it in my notes.
Can I ask you a couple of things?
Yes.
At the meeting, the tri-board, do we lay out amongst the three groups
Oh,
budget guidelines? i.e. keep it under a certain percentage, keep it within a certain amount?
That's a
Is
good
that kind of
question.
agreed to?
No.
No, okay.
And that's one of the things I always look for too, but everybody's afraid to put down a number now.
See, I'm used to doing it the other way. I was always wrote a budget, I was told, by the Board of Finance, through the Board of Ed,
Yeah.
that I was to put my budget would be 3.5%, 4%, whatever it is. I met with, just so you know, I met with the superintendent of schools. She asked me to meet with her. And never mind the salary negotiated increase, they're looking, according to her, and I have no reason to doubt it, 19% increase in insurance.
Oh, yeah, insurance is going down.
And that's being part of a consortium. 19%.
Well, my insurance, my private insurance has gone up significantly.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there going, because usually somewhere in April or May when the experience comes in, the companies come back and say, oh, we'll cut it down from 19 to 14. She's saying, doesn't look that way. 19% on insurance alone, plus what is it, a 3.5% salary increase across the board.
That's really unsustainable.
Well,
What's driving that insurance increase? The cost
well,
of
if
insurance?
it's done, now I actually used to do this for teachers union. It's driven by experience. They look at the experience, and we're a small district. That we're in a consortium is good. But in a small district like here, are like 2 or 3 big time outpays, drives your money right up. It's all on experience. And I've seen the charts. I mean, I've worked with that, and I've seen the actuarial charts on it. So I know how it works. But they've joined a consortium with Learn, which surprised me, as opposed to Eastcom. But they have an insurance consortium. So they've lumped all the districts together. But even with that, it's driven by, well, you know that, you're facing it too, everybody is. The cost of services keeps going up.
The cost of money.
I mean, let me give you an example. Between you and me, there's nobody here. I had that issue with.
Well, that may be recording, so.
Yeah, I had this cold issue. I was in the hospital.
So you okay?
Yeah, with 15 days. So far, it's $250,000 for me alone. Think about that. That's hospital, doctors, medicine. Meet one person. Imagine in a district like this, with only a few hundred employees, or a town with a few hundred, what 2 or 3 things like that would do to your rates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that. And I get the number, and you know what? This is the best part. I paid $200. That was my deductible. The rest of it, the insurance company and Medicare paid. But that's when it gets scary. And you look at these numbers, and you say, geez, how do you do it? How do you do it? Imagine that. $250,000.
Is that because so many patients don't pay? So
Well, I mean, you're paying for that. Whatever deal they worked out between the insurance company and the hospital. But anyhow, that's what the superintendent told me when I was meeting with her. And I was not shocked by it, because having been involved with the budget development and so on for so many years, I understand that. But it's, that's a hard thing for people to grab. That's a lot of money. 19%.
That's one reason why so many companies outsource their work.
Oh, yeah?
They don't have to pay that insurance.
Right.
I'm not going to name the company, but I'm very familiar with a certain company that's a big manufacturer, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And you buy material to make your parts. The material is expensive material, not low-grade steel. It's the best of everything. And we have a budget for that, to buy so much material each year. And then we have so many employees that we used to provide insurance for, but we don't provide insurance as much anymore. What happened is that the amount of money required to pay the premiums each year exceeded what it cost to buy raw material to make parts.
Wow.
That's a going out of business plan.
Yes, it is.
So
It is.
the company was forced to have the employees participate in paying for the insurance.
The only reason I asked that question about setting a budget target is it at least makes people writing budgets think. If
That's
you're
it.
told that, keep it 4% or under,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I have to look, and am I gonna be able to defend more than that? Becomes, and I don't know how it's done here, but I was required, I had to defend my little budget, $8-9 million. I had to defend it to the superintendent and the budget director. And then when the time came to go to the Board of Ed, I needed to be there. So if they had any questions about what the Morgan School was doing, I could defend what I'm asking for. I mean, that was the process that they developed in that town. And so you always knew where you had to keep it,
That's
And I
right.
don't know, have we heard yet what the grand list went up?
Not much.
No, I didn't think it would. Small percentage, I would guess.
And, well, Valerie gave me, I asked that question
Okay.
myself. That's the numbers I quoted at the RGC. That's
Okay,
where they came from.
right, okay.
But she was a little nebulous about, when she says 2025, does she mean right now, or does she mean fiscal year 2025, which was last year, which is the year ending now? So it was a little unclear. But the bottom line is, in the last 2 years, it hasn't gone up much at all.
Right,
And I don't see it going up much this year.
Nope, I don't see, looking around, I see some individual houses, but, their increase is not, okay.
So it's going to be a very tough year. But let's get
Yep.
back to the tri-board
Yeah,
meeting.
okay.
You brought up a subject that I remember what I'm going to talk about. First of all, I've been on the Board of Finance, this is my 8th year. And when I first came on, I was gung-ho to set a budget target right at the beginning.
Right.
Like, what can the town afford? Can we afford a 5% increase? No. Can we afford a 3%? That should be our budget target.
Yep.
But in 8 years, I haven't gotten anybody to agree with me that's the right thing to do. They don't want to touch it
Yeah, they don't.
until this big crunch and panic
Right.
in April.
Yeah,
And it's a backwards process.
right.
Because if you're running a business, you always set, particularly with money, you
Mhm.
always have to set a target, otherwise you lose control. And you find yourself in a hole.
Well, you see
You
that,
can't afford it anyway.
if that were to come up, you obviously know my point of view. That's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
The other thing I told the superintendent, I asked her, I said, there are 2 things I'm going to tell you flat out I want to hear. I want to know what enrollment was for the past 5 years, which she has, and what are your projections for the next 5 years, which she also should have, because how do you write a budget? There's about 1,000 kids in the school system. But where are we going? The other thing I asked her for, and we'll
Is
see
this
what
our
happens.
superintendent now, you mean? or-
Yep, the present one. And the other thing I asked her for is, I would like to know how our students perform on state and national standardized tests when compared with their peers. In other words, my logic is, and again, it comes back to experience. A, the first part of it is, how do you build your budget if you don't know your numbers? The second question is, where do I put my resources? Are my kids performing well? Not performing well in some areas? Shouldn't I be putting more? So, I'm just telling you that up front, what I asked her for. And I will, she knows it. And she also knows that I'm in the business, so that I know what I know. But to me, in all honesty, and this should be any department, the Board of Park and Rec, I should be able to find out how many people are you serving a year? How are you serving them? What are the fire calls? What are the police? That's stuff that should be standard. Have we seen an increase?
Yeah.
Every department should be judged by that. The Public Works is a little tougher, but what have you done with what you got last year? How do you identify your needs if you don't look at past performance? So just so you know, I asked that. She contacted me for the meeting. I didn't call her.
Oh, really?
She contacted me to meet with me.
Oh, that's because, are you the, no, you're not the liaison.
No, I'm not. I have no idea.
Marine Goff is the liaison.
Yeah, well, she called me. She called me? Called me, her office. No, I take that back. She called me personally. Not an email. a phone call. Of course, the part of me goes, how do you have my home phone? But then, of course, it's in the,
It's in the phone
it's
book.
known. But she called me personally. Called me. And and the interesting thing is, she had no idea my background in education.
Well, she
Wasn't
didn't?
as if no, because she's saying a couple of things, and I said, let me educate you. Do you know my background? He said, no. I said, 46 years in the business, 35 years as a building and district administrator. So when you're talking this stuff, you're talking to somebody who knows what you're talking about. But anyhow, yeah, she called me. I assumed maybe she was reaching out because I was new. But she's new, so you would think she would be trying to reach out to
me.
to you, and start with you as the chair. Just so you know, I didn't make any promises, agreement. I just listened. Yep.
I'm a little, because I had many conversations with her,
Yeah.
and I didn't go talk to her because we have a liaison.
Right.
That's Maureen Goff.
Right.
So if Maureen Goff didn't come see her, I don't know why she didn't call me. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm okay with her talking to you.
You know what?
I got no problem with
Right.
that. But she should talk to me.
But that's why I'm letting you know.
I'm gonna
And
see her.
on Wednesday, when I see Maureen, I'll make sure Maureen knows. I'm not trying to jump anybody because I'm just there for information. That's all. And like I said, I got those bits of information, the 19%, the 3.5% salary increase, the 19% on, and that they're in an insurance consortium. But anyhow, I mean, you can take that where you want. I mean, the trouble is, you know, she did know I was, no, she was talking to some, she did know I was on the Board of Ed a dozen years ago. She knew that. Because she said that when she talked to me.
Somebody must have talked to her
Somebody did.
and told her to go see you.
Well, I don't know why, I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at who's on the Board of Ed. Only, what's his name, the chair, no, Patty's the chair now. Mark is the only one who was on the board when I was on the board. But her staff is the same in the office. Whether somebody in the office said something to her, I don't know.
It had to be the business manager, Cindy Houston.
Yeah, she used to be, but not when I was on the Board of Ed. She was after that. Anyhow, just so you know,
I appreciate that.
just a conversation. But again, I just, you know,
So many things.
yep.
I appreciate
Yep,
that.
keep you aware. I'm not, as I said, I'm
love-
not out jumping any guns on
No.
anybody.
Well, this is gonna be a tough year.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have to say a lot of no.
Well, that's why I ask questions like, is there a guideline? And these are things for myself. What's changing in your department to change your budget? You know, you tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm interested in factors like salaries, bennies, programs. What is it to me? These are the things I would ask chairs or even the first selectman. What's changed? You want more money? Why?
Those that,
Are you providing more services than you did before? Are you serving more people than you did before?
yeah.
I mean, those, you know, I mean, I know we don't control salaries, the selectman does, except for the Board of Ed. The Board of Selectmen controls all of that stuff. But regardless of that, I mean, I just wrote those things down for me. So we'll see what happens when we have those discussions.
Yeah. Like, getting back to your idea about setting a goal at the beginning of the budget season, for example, at the tri-board meeting, that's a good idea. That's how companies do it.
Yep.
You always gotta set a target, a goal, otherwise you end up wasting some time talking about something you never have anyway.
Right.
And you gotta be, also forces people to be realistic in what their real priorities are, not what you want your priorities to be, what they really are.
The old story when we took Basic Economics 101, there's a difference between needs and wants.
Yeah.
And the first thing you put down is what you need, and then you put down what you want.
That's absolutely true.
Now, yeah, I know we have to get out of here, you said.
Yeah, but I've been.
But I will support, just so you know, you bring that up, I'll support it. Because in all honesty, I'm not trying to say Clinton was great, because it wasn't. But I was in 5 different districts. I wasn't in a single district where that isn't how you did a budget. You were given, as a budget developer, a target number. Don't exceed this.
Yeah.
Because if you did, you're gonna hear about it. And that's what it ought to be in any town. And
Yeah.
because how else, like you said, you're in business.
Yeah.
How the heck can you do it?
Not that way.
I think one of the issues is to be honest between you and I. I remember talking to somebody, a guy who was a professional negotiator out of New York, Len Robins. Fabulous guy. Beat the hell out of me too many times. But he said, you know what I want to see on a Board of Ed? I want doctors, I want lawyers. Why? Money doesn't frighten them. You go in talking about $75 million, they don't blink. They're used to numbers. I think too often in small towns like this, maybe even on Board of Finance, you start talking about 30, 40 million dollars. It's like, and you've got to learn not to gulp.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
So I'll write this up
Thank you very
tomorrow
much.
and get it to you. As I said, if you want anything with that, you bring that up. I will be more than happy to support you on a budget guideline, because I'm used to it, and I would say that. And I know it works, because frankly, I ran a like I said, $8-9 million operation, but it always, that's what was expected, and that's what I had to answer to.
Well, thank you very much.
I mean, you're in the private sector, you understand that. You know, how much is it going to cost? How are you going to do it? You know, you just don't walk in.
You ask.
with-
You have the greatest idea in the world, but the first question they ask you, how much is it going to
Yeah,
cost?
and where you going to get the money?
Yeah.
You know, you don't pluck those numbers out of the air. I understand that. I'm not, as I said, I have certain experience with it, and I did contract negotiations for a long time, so I understand, you know, when you start getting up over $100 million, that starts to become real money.
That's right.
I always tell the story. We did when I screwed up. The guy I had doing our salary schedule screwed up. He screwed up by about $150,000 error. Sitting at the table, there's Lynn. He looks at me. He goes, "It's a rounding error. Don't worry about it." He swallowed it. He said, when you're talking $75-80 million, what's 170? It's chicken feed.
Yeah, but again, to your point, a lot of people, the 170,000 is a lot of money.
It is.
And they're already squeezing pennies to pay
Yeah.
their taxes.
Right, and that's, I think, what you hear.
That's exactly right.
I understand that. Anything else you got?
No, that's it.
If I get this
You
done,
co-
we're okay?
You cover all the heavy stuff.
I
I'm just
try.
trying to think, I'm thinking how I'm gonna ask Irene Haynes and Teresa DeBritt what their goal is for this year. I think I may send them an email.
No, I would. I mean, to me, I gotta be honest.
Because I'm chairman now, before I wasn't chairman.
As a member,
Yeah.
never mind as a community member.
Yeah.
I mean, those
Gotcha.
are things you wanna know. I
Yeah.
don't see why people would be upset with that. I mean, how do you have people develop a budget? How does she say to her administrators, develop a budget? With no guidelines, just put together what you can? How does Irene do that with her department? Just pull it together? I don't think that, I mean, I can't imagine they would object to it. But I could be wrong.
Well, they're scared because they don't want to say, what they want is, they want to increase it 10%.
Yeah, so do I, but I can't do that.
But that includes their wants.
Right, yeah, that's everything. No, you can't.
No, so they're afraid to pick a number because they might be trapped. That's they feel because they have no experience and no confidence in the process, because they never really worked the process the right way in the first place. If they did, they'll see that the process actually helps you.
I would think Irene might be a little freer now that she knows she's not running for reelection.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's true.
you're freed up a lot in that regard. But you're still gonna hear it. You're still gonna hear it.
Let me, yeah, we got a couple
Yeah.
minutes, but let me put something by you.
Yeah,
Now, I'm trying to figure out how we can do this to the tri-board. Here's what I'm thinking, is that I'll ask them, what are your goals for this year? And they'll say, well, they don't have any. I'm gonna say, well, why we should have some goals.
right.
It's a private enterprise. So shall we set as an action item coming out of this tri-board meeting, that we get together like next week and come up with an expected goal for each one of the departments?
I have to say this,
Just expected. I'm not saying this we're
Right.
gonna take to the referendum, but
but I'm sitting here going, how did the superintendent, director, principals to develop a budget if she doesn't have a goal for them? How can Irene have her department chairs do it if they don't have a goal? I'm sorry, you'll forgive me, but I don't.
You're absolutely right,
I'm
Bill.
not the- I'm
That's
not the-
exactly what I thought
Yeah.
8 years ago.
I'm not the sharpest pencil in the pencil box.
You're sharp enough.
But that just makes sense because we have to do it. We have to do it at home.
Absolutely.
We don't just sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna
go
spend
do this.
100,000 this year, but we only bringing in 90. That doesn't matter. Yeah, and as I said, you're still out there, so you understand that. I don't know how many of our members on the Board of Finance are in that position, where they are in that kind of position where they see money.
A couple of them are.
Okay, then they should
They
understand
should
it.
understand, that's right. I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn this meeting. So moved.
Done.
Bill moves. All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
29.
7:29.
Made it by a minute.
Yep, 7:29, the meeting's over. Thank
There
you
we
very
go.
much.
We get warm.
And I'll turn this.
Yeah.